This is a video about just a scene interview from Fareed Zakaria, who interviewed a Bain Capital leader and a actual Silicon Valley venture firm founder about who creates jobs, the rich 1% or somebody else. It was a great debate. It was a great program. And you saw the religion that business schools have promulgated for 30 years. I had a friend at the University of Michigan, a vile, ugly person who likes crushing other people as a hobby in sports, and he ran around this religion that the University of Michigan Business School created of self-worship, that he is the center of all good things in the American economy. And then whenever somebody points out that he's not, and that his actual effects on people are rather evil, he runs back to economics and says, well, economics proves that it's all right to be not moral, that morality is not part of it. It's all economics. Nothing about morality is needed or involved. And that happened to me 40 years ago. And then here it is on TV 40 years later to see this Bain Capital guy turn religious in the conversation in exactly the same way, at exactly the same points, and be afraid and defensive at the point of morality because it's all economics is the religion that he's been trained to believe, and his facts are wrong. And then the venture guys actually created a venture business, and so the Bain guy is saying, you know, venture capital is the key. We have so much venture capital in America, and the Bain guy and the venture capital guy says, no, it's love of the world. It's loving something enough to go out and do it. And then the Bain guy Bain guy says, well, no, it's our money that gets people to go from this company to that company when you're creating a new company. Our money pays their salaries. And then it's the venture capital guy, a venture business guy, a founder, who says that, no, we have $2 trillion of money locked up in corporations they're not spending. They're not investing it. Making people richer doesn't cause them to invest. They're just locking it up and saving it. It is ideas. And it is people with ideas that look at the founders of Google. They grew up as sons and daughters of professors. They went to Stanford and PhDs in computer science. There was no risk in growing up as a son and daughter of professors. There was no risk in going to the computer science department PhD program at Stanford. That's the least risky thing to do in the world these days. And then they went out and they borrowed money from their friends, all of whom were fairly rich, and created Google at a time where any idea, however stupid, could have gotten funding from angel investors in Silicon Valley, as long as it was web connected. No risk in that either. And then when the search algorithm was designed and showable to people, then they went around and did show and tells like everybody else did, and everywhere they did a show and tell, they got money and employees. And no risk in that at all. So the idea that it's risk simply ignores Thomas Edison and the fact that it's love of the world, love of the world, love of the world. I've got an idea. I want to change the world in a way. I want to create a potential way to live and a way to work that no one's had before. It's the inventor culture, the inventor's mindset. And it's based on creating a giant piles of love of the world, not giant piles of money. And the giant piles of money come in later, directed by MBAs who believe this economics religion, and they ruin everything. They destroy the love of the world and the service to the world for the sake of their own wealth. They are the disease that then shuts down these companies, not the resource that builds these companies. And it was really nice to see a pure version of this argument. The Bain guy was turning religious at key points in the argument, and you could clearly see it, and this downward turn to the corners of his mouth whenever the word morality or love appeared. He was very uncomfortable talking about morality and love, and he kept saying the words, morality and love has nothing to do with it, it's all economics, it's all economics. And it's so clear to any fool that you don't create Google because of economics. You create Google because there's this giant web and you can't find anything in it. It's got nothing to do with economics. And it's just this religion that the MBAs have been trained in, and the Americans have spread millions of these sick people all over the world. Fortunately, the Europeans haven't. And fortunately, well, the East Asians have created people who cheat on exams and who don't really read books, but the Europeans have created several generations of MBAs who actually love the world and who don't love money and who don't subscribe to this Milton Friedman religion. But the Americans have just spewed millions of these mentally ill people all over the world. And they've got this religion where they stop thinking when you mention the word love and service and care and compassion and helping the world. And they only think when it's economics. It's all economics, the guy from Bain kept saying. It's all economics. Don't talk about love. Oh, don't want that word. Don't talk about the morality. No, don't talk about service. Oh, don't talk about care. No, it's all economics. It's all he can't think about anything except economics because he doesn't realize the reason it's all economics is to improve the status of business schools and universities 45 years ago when the deans of all the business schools in America got together and said, we have no respect. We are an applied field. We have no respect. We have to improve our status. And the way you do that in American academia is by being theoretical. So we're going to base everything in business on a theoretical field called economics. And we're going to make everything in business based on economics, and that will improve our status. And it worked. It improved faculty status, but it generated 10 million mentally ill religious guys who stop thinking once the equations are over and then hide their greed and their psychopathology and their inability to create businesses, $2 trillion not being invested because they don't love anything. And they don't care about other people except themselves. I got a 4th boat, I need a 5th boat. I got 5 houses, I need 6 houses. I've got 2 kids with cocaine problems, I need another kid with a cocaine problem. How much cocaine addiction treatment programs do you need in one family?